Los Angeles turned into a battleground this morning. Police, city crews, and federal orders clashed head-on with activists who chained gates shut, screaming to stop a sweep of one of the most dangerous homeless camps in California. Guys, fires had already scorched the area. Propane tanks were stacked like bombs, and families nearby had been living in fear for months. For years, politicians allowed this chaos to spread, but not anymore. Under President Donald J. Trump's direction, the order came down: clear the camps, restore safety, and end the endless cycle of crime-ridden tent cities. Their response? Riots in the streets. Protesters fought to keep the encampments alive while communities begged for help. And just hours later, Trump signed a very historic VA mortgage rescue bill, cutting through years of gridlock to keep American veterans in their homes. Two major moves, one president, one message. This country's priorities are shifting away from the chaos, away from the corruption, and back to citizens and heroes who have earned their place first. Drop an amen in the comments down below if you support President Trump's mission here. So today I want to go ahead and break down exactly what happened in LA, why the protests turned explosive, and how this brand new VA bill is shaking up the system from top to bottom. Guys, what you're about to hear, this is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about this crisis. If you appreciate the news updates, hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you folks. So Los Angeles woke up to chaos this morning. On Oxnard Street, just steps away from the 405 freeway, a sprawling homeless encampment that's been called one of the largest and arguably one of the most dangerous in the San Fernando Valley finally met its breaking point. For months, families that are living nearby have been trapped in a nightmare. Fires breaking out in the dead of night, propane tanks stacked dangerously close to tents, random violence spilling out into the sidewalks where children used to ride their bikes. It was horrible. Businesses boarded up with their, businesses were boarding up their windows, trying to protect their companies. And residents, they just stopped going out after dark. It wasn't safe. So everyone was asking the same question: how long is this going to be allowed to go on? So today, the question finally got an answer. Backed by President Trump and his new federal order, city crews and LAPD officers moved in with a plan to clear the camp once and for all. But the minute that the cleanup teams approached, protesters, they came out of nowhere. The protesters surged in. I'm talking gates were chained shut. The tempers flared. City workers trying to make the area safe, they were shouted down as if they were the enemy. I mean, go figure, right? It was pure chaos, not because law enforcement was out of control, but because activists refused to let the community reclaim its own streets. And this is where America finds itself divided. So on the one side, you got families and taxpayers begging for safety, for order, and basic public space. But on the other side, you got groups who believe tearing down a hazardous encampment is somehow an attack on human rights. So the tension on Oxnard Street wasn't just physical. It was the same clash playing out across every major city in this country. And so here's the real question for everybody who's watching the show today. When a camp becomes a threat to families, should activists have the power to stop law enforcement from stepping in? I mean, this is the line that this country is being forced to draw right now. So I want to let your voice be heard. I want to read what you guys are saying. Now, most Medicare plans, they have fine print that hides fees and restrictions or limits that you just don't see until it's too late. Chapter's job is to find and fix those problems before they cost you big time. Now, Jamie from Texas, she said, I save $600 a year thanks to Chapter's review. And Linda Ortega said, I have great news. Chapter helped me save big. I love it. Guys, I partnered with Chapter because they're not afraid to tell you the truth about your plan, and they'll help you find something better if there is one. And if you're already on the best plan, they're going to tell you that too. So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Give our friends at Chapter a call right now. Phone number is down below on your screen, 909-563-8279, or visit them on the web at askchapter.org/Ron. I left a link for you guys down below. Do not wait for bad news in your mailbox. Just find out what you're missing today. So for decades, this exact crime scene has played out in city after city, mostly the sanctuary cities. Crews roll in, they do a token cleanup, politicians, they hold a press conference, and then a week later, the tents are right back. Fires are burning again. Nothing changes. The people that are living there are failed. The neighborhoods are failed, and politicians just keep collecting praise for trying. That cycle ends now. So President Donald J. Trump, he made it rather clear. America's public spaces belong to law-abiding citizens again. His latest executive order declared tent cities a national emergency, giving cities like LA the authority and federal support that they need to dismantle these dangerous encampments, not just for a day or for a week, but permanently. No more endless taxpayer spending on Band-Aid solutions. No more turning parks, sidewalks, and highways into war zones. And so this isn't a cold-hearted crackdown like the media wants you to think. President Trump's orders, it pushes resources where they should have gone all along. Rehabilitation programs, structured housing solutions, and treatment for people who really want help, not funding these open air drug markets that are disguised as compassion projects. It's smart policy. It's targeted, and it's the first time in years that somebody in Washington is actually saying enough is enough. This country's families deserve safe streets again. But as crews worked under this new authority, activists doubled down, clashing with police, screaming at city workers, and acting as human shields for chaos, which kind of leads to the big question that's hanging over this entire showdown. Should America's laws bend to the will of protesters protecting, broken, unsafe camps? Or, hear me out, should we finally back the leadership that restores order and offers real solutions? This is the decision that this country can't avoid anymore. Now, if you thought that this standoff was bad, it only gets worse from here. The fight on the ground turned explosive, and it really revealed something that was far bigger than just one camp in LA. A billion-dollar machine profiting off of human misery that does not want this crisis solved. Now, I'm gonna blow the lid off of that one in just a moment. And later, we're going to talk about how President Trump's VA mortgage rescue bill just flipped America's priorities back where they belong. So as city crews moved deeper into the encampment, the standoff intensified. Protesters locked themselves to the gates. They formed like human chains, locking arms and screaming at the officers who were there just to simply keep families safe. Excuse me. Many of these activists, they don't even live in the area. They didn't suffer the fires that ultimately torched the nearby businesses. They didn't walk their children past sidewalks littered with trash and needles and drugs and human waste. It's ridiculous. And the smell, oh God. But they had made up their minds. They were there to stop the cleanup at any cost, no matter what. Meanwhile, residents stood behind barricades, watching the chaos, some in tears, some furious and absolutely pissed off, wondering how their rights have become second to people who don't even live there. Folks, you're not hearing this on CNN. You're not hearing this from the corrupt establishment media. But under President Donald J. Trump's leadership, America is witnessing a breakthrough that could rewrite the future of medicine. Now, imagine a world where life-saving drugs don't take 10 or 15 years and billions of taxpayer dollars to develop, where medical innovation doesn't get strangled by big pharma bureaucracy and foreign interference. What if America could lead the world in cutting-edge therapeutics, delivering faster cures, cheaper treatments, and doing it all right here on U.S. soil? Well, a small but fast rising company by the name of Immunoprecise Antibodies, ticker symbol IPA on the NASDAQ, is making waves on Wall Street for doing just that. In fact, today's video was sponsored on behalf of Immunoprecise Antibodies, and their stock has soared from just 27 cents to over $2 this year. Now it is currently trading at about $1.70 as of today, and investors are waking up to a quiet revolution that could put America first in global drug discovery. Now, stick with me, guys, because in the next couple of minutes, I want to show you why this company's AI-powered breakthroughs are shaking up big pharma, how they just regained NASDAQ compliance, what record-breaking financial results that they've just posted, and why some believe that this is one of the most undervalued tech bio plays in America today. Now, by the end, you're going to understand why Wall Street is finally paying attention. Here's the truth that they don't want you to hear. 90% of drugs fail. That means billions spent, decades wasted, families praying for cures that never come. Traditional AI hasn't fixed this mess because biology isn't just pattern recognition. It's far more complex than that. This is why the system needs disruption, and that's where IPA steps in. They have developed a patented technology called HYFT. So this acts like Google for biology. It's essentially decoding meaningful patterns that link genetic sequences, 3D structures, and biological functions. Layered on top is their Lens AI platform. This is a biological intelligence system connecting 25 billion biological relationships using advanced AI like retrieval augmented generation and knowledge graphs. Plain English, guys, they can design smarter, safer, and more effective drugs in hours, not years. And folks, this is exactly the kind of American innovation that President Trump says will keep us ahead of China and big pharma corruption. So in just the last few months alone, Universal Dang Vaccine Target AI discovered a single Achilles heel across all 4 dengue strains, validated to be safe and effective in early immune response simulations. GLP-1 peptides, their AI-designed drug candidates matched or outperformed blockbuster drugs like semaglutide in receptor tests, potentially leading to better diabetes treatments without daily injections. Epitome mapping breakthrough predicted binding sites on 17 previously unseen antibody protein complexes with near crystallography precision in hours, not weeks. Now, folks, this is not hype. That is AI turning into real-world impact while bureaucratic labs are still filling out grant forms. AI-driven drug discovery is projected to exceed $100 billion in the next decade, but most players are stuck building models that they can't monetize. IPA is different. They combine AI brains with real wet lab capabilities, bridging the gap between computer prediction and actual drug candidates. This is why they've landed an $8 to $10 million USD partnership with a publicly traded biotech focused on cancer therapeutics and signed a material transfer agreement with BioNTech for tumor targeting antibodies. This is real execution, not empty promises. And so here is why Wall Street is paying attention. Q4 revenues, $7 million, their highest ever. Gross margin, 64%. This is up from 48% last year. BioStrand segment grew over 180% with margins approaching 90%, now making up 5% of total revenue. Adjusted EBITDA almost break even at a loss of just 0.3 million, showing that they're moving toward profitability. And yes, they have regained compliance with NASDAQ's $1 minimum bid, erasing any delisting risk. From 27 cents to over $2, now stable around $1.70 per share. Investors are starting to see the potential here. Now, President Trump has promised to bring healthcare innovation back to America, breaking the chains of big pharma corruption and foreign control. Companies like IPA are proof that the next generation of medicine can be built right here at home. With American engineering leading the charge, faster cures, safer drugs, real hope for millions of families. This is what America First innovation looks like. Now, this story is just getting started. In fact, the AI revolution in medicine is about to accelerate, and there are whispers of even bigger breakthroughs on the horizon. This video is sponsored on behalf of Immunoprecise Antibodies on the NASDAQ under ticker symbol IPA. I am not a licensed investment advisor. Nothing in this video should be considered investment advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. So this wasn't just about tents. It was about years of neglect by city leaders who just pretty much let things get this bad. About families feeling like strangers in their own neighborhood. I mean, it's horrible. About kids growing up thinking that danger and filth are just a normal part of life in America's cities. So officers warned protesters over and over, but every minute they delayed, the risk of another fire, another violent incident grew. So this wasn't theoretical. This camp had already seen multiple fires, one sending black smoke across the freeway for hours. Propane tanks, they were stacked everywhere like bombs waiting to ignite. And still, activists claim that clearing it was somehow cruelty, that the real crime was trying to restore safety for the people who actually live there. I don't know. Go figure, guys. So this is really where the real battle line is drawn. Should unelected activists, many funded by political groups or outside organizations, hold veto power over public safety operations? Like, should they really be able to override laws, police, and federal orders because they just don't like the optics of dismantling a dangerous camp? Or should the families who've paid taxes but, built lives here and begged for help finally get their streets back? This is the choice that's playing out in real time. And this is one that America just cannot ignore anymore. So let's be clear. This wasn't just about compassion or protests. What unfolded on Oxnard Street, this is tied to a multi-billion-dollar machine that has been thriving off of human suffering for years. And they call it homeless outreach. They call it housing initiatives. They call it progressive compassion. But the truth is, this crisis, it's a cash cow for nonprofits, for contractors, and city politicians who just don't want it solved. So here's how it works. Billions and billions of dollars pour into these big cities every single year to fix homelessness. The money funds studies and endless task forces, tiny home villages that cost more than real houses, and overpriced hotel programs. It's ridiculous. You got nonprofits collecting huge paychecks, politicians patting themselves on the back for quote unquote caring, and yet the tents never go away. In fact, they grow. Because solving the problem would dry up their money pipeline. It's not about fixing the crisis. It is about keeping it visible enough to keep the funding flowing. And so this is why you saw protesters out there today. Many of these groups, they were connected to the organizations that profit when the problem looks unsolvable. Clearing the camps permanently, connecting people to treatment instead of tents, this cuts straight into their bottom line. So they don't want that. And President Trump's order, it is a direct threat to that kind of system. He's not just clearing sidewalks. He's cutting off the gravy train that's been bleeding taxpayers dry while turning once beautiful cities into dangerous, unlivable zones. This is why the pushback is so vicious. It's not about protecting people. It's about protecting power and money that's tied to failure. So Trump is the first president to break that cycle. And that's why these activists and these political insiders are furious. The question every viewer right now has to face is this: do you stand with a system that profits from misery, or do you stand with leadership that finally puts results, safety, and citizens first? So, while this battle raged on the ground in LA, President Trump was across the country making history for America's heroes. Hours after this sweep, he signed a VA mortgage rescue bill that could save thousands of veterans from losing their homes, which is a rather stark contrast to the priorities of the past. The fight for who this country stands for, its heroes or its chaos, this is about to get even more personal. I'm going to tell you right now. So while LA was boiling over with protests, another battle was being fought and won in Washington, D.C. For years. Veterans, men and women who sacrificed everything for this country, they've been losing their homes to foreclosure. I mean, they slept in their cars, under bridges, and yes, on the very sidewalks where illegal immigrants were handed hotel keys and free meals. This disgrace has been a stain on the promise that America made to those who served. That changed today, folks. Just hours after the LA sweep, President Donald J. Trump just signed the VA mortgage rescue bill. This is a landmark piece of legislation that delivers immediate, real help to veterans that are at risk of losing their homes. So this isn't just another hollow promise or some long-winded task force. This is direct action. It gives veterans emergency financial assistance, refinancing options that banks can no longer deny, and crucially, it's fully paid for. Not 1 cent adds to the national debt. In fact, this is leadership that keeps its word and it does it responsibly. So President Trump tied this big moment to his larger mission to end veteran homelessness nationwide. His administration has already opened housing centers for homeless vets, slashed the wait times at the VA hospitals, and restored the VA choice and VA accountability programs that corrupt bureaucrats dismantled under previous leadership. Veterans who were mistreated or left to die in a broken system, finally, they have a president who fires those responsible and actually gets results. So can I get an amen for that in the comments, guys? Now, today's bill sends a very clear message. The people who risk their lives for this country, they're no longer going to be pushed aside while others exploit the system. Trump has ultimately flipped the script on America's housing priorities, forced everyone to confront a question that we should never have to ask. Why did this take so long to put veterans first? But if you really want to know why it took this long, I mean, just look at what's happening in sanctuary cities across this country. California Governor Gavin Newsom teaming up with LA Mayor Karen Bass. They're letting all of this just continue to take place and destroy the great state of California and major cities like Los Angeles. Veterans are forced to sleep on sidewalks or lose their homes. Illegal immigrants are being given hotel rooms, free food, legal aid, and in a lot of cases, priority access to shelters that was supposed to protect our own citizens first. So this is not compassion, it's chaos. And it's one of the main reasons homeless encampments have exploded in cities like LA. And of course, Mayor Karen Bass is not doing anything to stop it. It's also exploding in San Francisco, Chicago, and New York City. Resources are drained, laws are being ignored, politicians pander to people who don't even believe that they don't even belong here legally, all while ignoring heroes who fought for the flag that gives them the power to make those decisions. So President Trump's administration is tearing down that very system brick by brick. Federal funds are being redirected where they belong. Excuse me. American citizens first, veterans first, public safety first. Cities that have allowed open air drug markets and tent cities to fester, they're being put on notice. Federal backing is giving law enforcement the teeth that they actually need to enforce basic order again. And loopholes that once protected the growth of these encampments, they're being closed for good. So this is the national debate that activists and political elites don't want to have. They don't want you to believe that compassion means letting chaos reign. But who should take America? Who should America take care of first? I want to ask you guys, if you're watching this show right now, I want you to answer this for me. Who should America take care of first? Our veterans, our families, the people who built and defended this country, or anyone who just shows up and demands taxpayer resources while contributing to the lawlessness? I mean, this is the battle line that's getting drawn right now. And so after everything that we've seen today, from the violent protests, defending tent cities, to a historic bill saving veterans' homes, this fight is no longer abstract. This is a direct question for every American that's watching this show right now. In the next few moments, I'm going to be asking you to choose which side of this fight you stand on, because this moment right here, this really defines where our country goes next. So after everything that you've already seen, this isn't just a headline, obviously. This is clearly a test of where we stand as a country. In Los Angeles, activists fought to keep a dangerous tent city alive, blocking police and crews from making neighborhoods safe again. They called it compassion. But what about the families living in fear? What about the children who can't even play in their parks because they're filled with trash, needles, and violence? Now, on that same day, President Trump proved exactly where his priorities are. He put veterans, our heroes who fought for this great nation, at the top of the list with a massive VA mortgage rescue bill. It saves homes, it saves families. It finally gives back to the people who have given everything for us. So here's the choice that's staring every American in the face. Do we keep letting these activists, career politicians, and failed policies control our streets, flooding cities with chaos while veterans sleep on the sidewalks? Or do we stand behind a president who's willing to take a little heat, who's willing to take some action and put citizens and heroes first again? Now, if you're fired up about what just happened, YouTube thinks that you're going to absolutely love the next video that just popped up on your screen right now. It dives even deeper into the chaos that politicians do not want you to see and the moves that President Trump is making to stop it. Click that video next, and let's keep this conversation going. We're just getting started.